Hi, this is Null Inquisitor with another funky video about Spirit of 77, and this time it will be a retelling or recap of the session we had. So let's begin with the characters. We had three characters. The first was Luke Falcon, a thrill-seeking race car driver, rich boy, the heir of the Falcon Foundation, who crashed his car, his experimental muscle car, in a racing accident, and was rebuilt into a better man, a bionic man. Yeah, he was very fun. The other one was Rufus J. Boscoe, lone wolf, country music, folk music, guitar man, soul man, promoting his own music by his own damn self, with his car full of full of records to sell and flyers to his next show in his pocket, but really a deep soul, a man who was on the road of redemption, and he was a former badge too, and at one point he was called by the music and left and quit and slammed his badge on the commissioner's desk. I quit to become a music man. And then we had Miss Giselle Wilderness, one of the key members of the Cracking Jacks, a street gang in a district called Little Street in our own city called Big West. She was one bad mother, and she led her crew in the streets to keep her cred and to keep things solid and black. And yeah, and together they formed this group called Action Time, and they gave their business card to people at some point into the game, and they are trying to help brothers and sisters in the street, and they try to do good, and they try to stick it to the man. Of course, this is what you do in this game. You fight the government, you fight the status quo, you fight the bureaucracy, the rules, the law, in the name of justice and good. So the game started with Rufus eating some fried chicken and a waffle in a joint he paid on his character sheet as a hideout or as a friendly place. The place was called Aunt Gemma, I think. Oh well, it's not so much important. Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe I have notes about the session right here. Yeah, it was called Antina's Bars and Dive. So the game started there with Miss Wilderness coming in with with five of her crew, and informing Mr. Rufus that Little Flower, a well-known, smart teenage girl, was found dead in Little Street. So Rufus, of course, a man of deep passion, just pushed his plate, and one of the crew, a small fellow, a small 4-foot gangster named Lil Twiz, asked if he could have the chicken, of course. And Rufus said, "Yeah, my brother, hit yourself." So Little Twiz just dived into the plate, snapping fingers of the other guy, and started to heat like a maniac. So when they left, Little Twig just stayed there and said, "Ah, fuck it," and just decided to heat like like a true gentleman. Of course, later on, we did a cutscene where Little Twig had finished his meal, and the waitress came with the bill, and he was like, "Oh man!" He was not expected to pay, and he had no money, so he drew a pistol and tried to try to make a mess and just not pay his bill. And I just asked the player Giselle just to roll for him if he would succeed in his action to get what he want, and he rolled a double one. So I decided I started to describe that some old guy just manhandled him like crazy, and this guy had tattoos of Vietnam, and and Little Twig just ended in prison, just basically trying to make a mess. And so by this complication, I just removed one guy from our gang, and it was quite funny. We had some fun at the expense of Little Twig. So they arrived at the crime scene, and Luke Falcon arrived in his Gran Torino, souped up on the theme song with his theme song. Every character had their theme song, and his was Black Betty, of course. Giselle was Get Up at That Thing, the James Brown, and Rufus was a song from the Punisher soundtrack. I don't remember it, but it's all right. So they arrived at one moment where a cop was unrolling a security band, and they of course couldn't enter the crime scene. Rufus, being a former badge, started to talk to the guy on the other side and recognize him as. And he called him Franco. Hey Franco, how's it going, Franco? Can we go in? And of course, Franco was like, No, you cannot. You cannot. You're a civilian now. You cannot help, and we have a guy here. So he whipped out his guitar and started to sing a song about Little Flower. And my player actually wrote a poem and read the poem to us, trying to sound like a bluesman. And so after that, I made him roll for the effect, and of course, several people started to cry, and even the cop in front of him was like having a hard time. So Rufus finally asked him to give him some information, and he just gave him the straight that Little Flower was probably OD on some new drugs called Blue Sky, and she had both of her hands burned to a third degree, while the other two were just interrogating people in the street, in the building apartment next to it. So with these information, they went to another district just next to Little Street, a district called Moore Town. Of course, a word play on Motown. And once in Moore Town, of course, Luke was stopped by the police for doing a little bit too much speed in a school area. And of course, Rufus knew the cop who gave the speed ticket, but Rufus didn't stop the man giving his ticket. So Luke was at the wheel, like, damn it, like this, and while Rufus and the cop just chat and rap about it. So Miss Giselle arrived at the schoolyard where Little Flower went to school, the Moortown High, and she saw a man giving candies to children. So her with her 4 acolytes just decided to interact with this old man, seeing something wrong with this. Of course, it's the 70s. But so she just said to the man, "Hey, what are you doing there?" And the old man just turned around, and he was like a full pimp with a coat with the arms not on the side like wings, and a big hat and big glasses, and he was giving candies to this kid. He was Papa John, and Papa John was actually an NPC we made before the game, because the Cracking Jacks owe a big debt to someone called Papa John. So my player was like, "Oh snap, not him." So she tried to talk to him, extract some information from him, but he was like a glacier. He was like totally immune to her, and she rolled badly, and he just ended up saying to her, "You know what? I'm going to take a walk with my gorillas. When I'm back here at school, you better not be there, otherwise you will owe me more." So he just left, and uh, after interrogating several of Little Flower's friends, they discovered that she went straight. She was a good, clean little girl because her father was out of jail. He was an assassin for Papa John called Big Five. And Big Five, since he went back from jail, was a changed man. Maybe he found God, or maybe he just decided to stay clean. But this big ass assassin had now his daughter dead. So they learned that. And of course, being heroes, they thought, hey, if this big badass assassin decided to go on a rampage, it will be bad for the community of Little Street and everywhere in Big West. So we better find the culprit, and find the murderer, and who did this, who sold Little Flower drugs. And so they went to the public library, where Little Flower and her best friend Jasmine, I think, she told them that she studied geometry and mathematics there every night. So they went there, and they uncovered that some kind of Chinese mafia had taken over the public library and were making drugs in the basement of the library. So after a big fight in the history section, where a full piece of the wall with books and heavy shelves started to fall on Luke, and Luke went. He just jumped over it with his bionic legs and escaped danger. And then the janitor removed his hat, and he was in full kung fu outfit. And he took the mop stick to and produce a staff with it, and just started to fight. And they started to fight these guys, and and finally the old lady at the front counter, just walked up the stairs to them, and out of her purse got out a full shotgun and started to bam to shoot into the section. And they had to fight this whole lady. And at one point Luke just jump on her and do a karate chop and disarm her and remove the shotgun, and then took her and said, "Stop it, woman, or I'll punch you." And basically the lady was intimidated by the result of the dice, and she proposed them to bring them to the real master, the real leader of the place. So they went into a hidden compartment with an elevator shaft, and they went several layers below the library into a drug factory, a drug making factory, and of course, all these small people, all these children, all these teenagers and elderly were making drugs with kung fu people watching over them. And there was this guy, this old man with a barbershop quartet hat and kung fu outfit and a glamorous small disco glasses and a stick, and he presented himself as a Dr. Fu Manly, like, but it was a word play on Fu Manchu. So after some discussion with this guy, they started to fight, and I think it was Giselle who screamed at the children, "Get out of here!" And she succeeded beautifully on the dice roll. And everyone, not only they went right away, but they went in an orderly fashion, like in line and quickly and efficiently. So the battlefield was pretty removed, clean of any civilian and people would not be combatant. And then she ordered her guy to unleash hell. And since the Cracking Jacks were designed as a pretty well-armed gang, they just threw grenades, and some had like a sawed-off shotgun, and another had a mini Uzi, and in one turn they just vaporized the Chinese mooks, like, and the players were like, "Oh shit!" they were so mean. They're so. And even the player of Giselle, my girlfriend, was like, "Oh snap!" They're so violent. So that's what you get when your gang does 3 harms damage in this game. So so Dr. Fu Manly jumped with his kung fu skill and walked the rail up until he went straight to Rufus, and he tried to break his guitar with his kung fu fist. But Rufus was successful in dodging the attack and saving his beautiful guitar. And then Luke just tried to jump to the catwalk to engage Dr. Fu Manly, but his jump was not successful. So he jumped like, but he was stuck like on the catwalk just by his hand, and he was trying to lift himself. So Dr. Fu Manly was trying to punch him with his treacherous kung fu skill, while Luke was trying to get up off there. And finally, Luke decided to just grab the guy and bring him down to hell with him. And he did it so well that mid-air he just placed Mr. Fu Manly under him and just landed on Mr. Fu Manly. BAM! And as they were struggling on the floor with their last energy, last breath, Luke Falcon just took a handful of blue powder and stuffed it into Dr. Fu Manly's mouth, overdosing the kung fu treacherous mastermind genius and leaving him bubbling on the floor. So the parting scene of that was just like I wrote on the Google Plus. The ending scene, I asked my player, "How do you want to end this game?" It was designed as a one-shot. How do you want to say goodbye to these characters? And they started to describe montage and different pictures of them messing around in the hospital and getting better and doing wheelchair races in the corridor, flirting with the staff, the nurses, and doing bunny's ear onto one of the Cracking Jacks who was in in a bandage like a mummy, and a picture of little Twiz in prison, like super hungry, like I want more chicken or I want to get out. And yeah, that was like one of those cheap 70s movies ending, and it was quite hilarious. So yeah, that was our session, our first session of Action Time, Super Action Time 77, using Spirit of 77. So if you want to give yourself a treat and a treat of laughter and good old fun, please try Spirit of 77. You will not regret it. It's just as crazy as it sounds, and it's fun. Thank you for watching.